Good morning, West Valley and world. Today I just want to start us off with me being thankful. I've got a couple things to be thankful for, and Phil Crawford. I know he's not in here today. It doesn't look like, but I finally watched the Roy Orbison video that he loaned me 3 months ago. So, thank you for that. And also my friend John Welch, who hasn't been feeling up to par, but was managed to get 3 of my guitars set up for me today, including my red Telecaster that is playing really nice. So I hope I can do it justice, John. And we're going to start this service with a song called "This Is the Day," and hopefully you can get up and join in the spirit with us. So thank you.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Sing that with me. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, a day to be seized, yeah. A day I can feel my spirit set free. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and higher up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Feel the Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and higher up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
All right, good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Goings. I'm the assistant minister here. I want to welcome you here on this, our beautiful spring, fall, summer morning. So, yeah, I'm just hoping, again, you guys are enjoying the weather and trying to get outside and try to wake up early for a change and really get out there and enjoy that beautiful weather. So, we've got a lot of fun stuff going on, and we're moving into our really fun season right now. And so the first thing is next weekend, Armand and Angeli will be doing a show on Saturday night at 6 p.m. And it's $20 at the door, and they do like a little skit, I would say like a Saturday night spiritual skit. So, anyways, but it's a really good show. And if you haven't seen it, it's really something fun to go to. We will be, say again? A comedy act. It's a comedy act, yeah. And then they're going to continue with their comedy act on Sunday. So, but it will be a fantastic. So if you don't have plans Saturday night, it'd be a great thing to do here. We will be here. In addition to that, there's a lot going on next Sunday. So we have our dress up for Halloween. So please dress up. We're going to have a Halloween costume contest. And then the last thing is we're going to have a potluck. So I talked to the Kitchen Angels, and the head chief has agreed that they've all agreed that they want to support us in doing a community potluck on the 5th Sundays. So we're going to be doing this going forward on the 5th Sundays of the month. We're going to be having a community potluck, and so this is our first one. All right? So, again, a lot of great stuff. The next thing, talking about food, if you notice, I don't have my anchor women up here anymore. So the Gourmets for God, we're moving into the next phase of the Gourmets for God, and it's now paying the money for all of the wonderful meals that or dishes you've signed up for. So Julie will be available in the bookstore after service to come in if you want to go ahead and pay for your dinners that you signed up. So it would be great for that to get that up and running and get that taken care of. All right, so that's all of the wonderful announcements. Again, if you're not receiving the newsletter, you can fill out one of those forms in the bookstore and drop it off and give it to myself, or you can give it to Kay, and we'll make sure that you're on the mailing list for the newsletter, because that's where all of our information is up to date. So let's start by saying our vision statement together. We are a loving, joy-filled community, honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the Science of Mind principles. And so it is. So just sit back, relax, open up your hearts and minds for the Bradford's beautiful music and Reverend Karen's wonderful message. Thank you.
So just take a deep breath as we go within.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my life,
And I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
And in this quiet place, this sacred space, we know there's just one source. That source is all there is, all there ever has been, all there ever will be. It is love, light, joy, beauty, peace, harmony. And we are each individualizations of this source. And this source moves and has its being through us and shows up as us. And I'd like to say a word of blessing for the Bradfords and their beautiful music that always, always, always brings us together, brings us joy. Tickles our soul. And to say a word of blessing for Reverend Karen and her message that we all need to hear today so that we can take what we learn and give it forth and incorporate it into our own lives to enrich us, to grow us. And I just release this absolutely perfect service into the law, knowing it is already done. And together we say, and so it is. So I'm reading today from Your Invisible Power. I'm doing this book study, and I ran across this, and I just absolutely love it. So I thought I would share it. I am within you is the only presence there is. I create innumerable centers of my consciousness personified as people. Yet I am is the thread of unity running through all, binding all back to myself. Because I am a perfect oneness. All of me exists everywhere. Therefore, wherever you recognize me, there I am. And whether or not you recognize me, I'm still there. Hence it is written, Behold, I stand at the door and knock. This divine visitor, which is your true self, and which is that which I am, is both the one who stands at the door and knocks, and the one who opens the door. Let's think about that one for a minute. The I am that I am. Moses Code. And so it is.
Make sure it's not too loud.
We're going to do a little super trance song for you guys today. Remember that? Oh, yeah. Give a little bit of your love to me. I'll give a little bit of my love to you. There's so much that we need to share, so send a smile and show you care. Give a little bit of my life for you. Give a little bit of your time to me. See the man with the lonely eyes. Oh, take his hand, you'll be surprised. Give a little bit of your love to me. Give a little bit of my life to you. Now's the time that we need to chat. So find yourself. We're on our way back home. Give a little bit.
Thank you, Bradfords. Thank you, Bradfords. That was fun. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Karen Rice, and I'm happy to be here today. I have a, I did it again, you guys. Why do you let me do this? No, it's upside down. You didn't do that. We are talking today about something that could be really fun. I had a good time preparing and playing in the information, and the title of my message this morning is Weaving the Spiritual. And so I noticed that when we talk about spirituality, there's a way that there are lots of uses of that symbol, of the idea of weavers and being the woven one. There's a great chant that we used to, when we'd have women's retreats back home. We had a big courtyard with a gorgeous labyrinth in it, and we used to chant this beautiful song, "We are the weavers, we are the woven one." And it has such meaning when you start looking at the idea of spirituality and that symbolism that connects to the art of weaving itself. So Dr. Holmes, the founder of this spiritual teaching, would speak about that idea of weaving in this metaphoric relationship to prayer. And in prayer, he would say, is the way that we weave ourselves into communion with Spirit. And I like that idea of oneness. The act of prayer demonstrates that there's some conviction on the part of the one praying that there's something bigger than we are that we can communicate with. So prayer is an action we take, but it is also an act of opening, an expression of readiness. It implies that we're accepting a higher level of whatever it is that we're desiring to have an experience of in our life, the reason we have gone to prayer. And so prayer is a way that we establish a closer contact with that fountain of wisdom, that infinite intelligence of the universe that I call Spirit or God, and that it is a way that we then are weaving our own thoughts with the thoughts of God. And in that way, we have this essence of divinity that just is a beautiful ideal that we can think about. So the spirituality around the idea of weaving, I get this vision of somebody sitting at a loom and the way that there are foot pedals sometimes, and the way that you have threads that are separated, and then you put a certain color through this way, and then you separate the threads in the other way, and then you bring a different color or the same color back through the other edge, and you begin creating something. You're making a fabric or a cloth or a rug, something. You're making something that not only has that substance of being woven, but we can weave intentionally patterns into that which we are creating. So when Holmes was speaking about prayer as in relationship to that weaving, he said this: prayer is a subtle transfusion of some invisible force weaving itself into our mentalities. Again, back to that idea that we are weaving our thoughts with the thoughts of God, weaving into our own mental atmosphere an awareness of a presence that exists in our lives that's greater than we are. So just as the weaver works with thread or yarn to create some kind of fabric and possibly those patterns, we too are uniquely created as a divine piece of art by the greatest divine designer in the universe that created all of life, and that makes us a gorgeous piece of art as well. We are a product of the Creator, and we're created in the image of love. So that implies to me, as I think about us as being woven into physical form by something greater than we are, that we are the thread of divinity within us is what really matters. And it really is what the spiritual path is all about. Always going back to and remembering again the essence of who and whose we truly are. So I think of it as the way that Spirit kissed us into being, the way that breath of life was infused within us so that we have this activity of life that sustains us and supports us all the time. And we are individualized. Right? No two of us can be exactly alike. You can have somebody that looks a lot like you, or your friends can say, oh, I know somebody with, they even have the same mannerisms as you. But nobody has our fingerprints, you know? Nobody has the map that they're using for identification purpose, the map that's in your eye. Isn't that kind of eerie? That you can look at your phone and it knows only you? It's kind of creepy to me. I'm of that age where new things are hard to welcome sometimes. But we are uniquely who we are, including all of our flaws. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Hey, Rod, could I ask you to bring that up here and show it to us? I brought something from home with me that I wanted to share this morning. This is it's a throw blanket that was a gift that was given to me by a lady named Wendy. And Wendy is, this is going to be the top right here. Thank you. Hold it up nice and big so they can see it. So this is a gorgeous, tender, special thing for me because you can see it was a gift to me in the year 2008. And it has my name embroidered in the bottom. It is not important to notice that is not part of the weaving. It is embroidered. Reverend Karen Rice, practitioner instructor, and this was my first graduating class of practitioners. And Wendy still has her license, which tells me she must be celebrating her 15th year of being a licensed practitioner. And I remember her dearly, and I love this throw so much that I don't leave it out much. I don't know what to do with it because I don't want it to get damaged. And I was thinking of using it here at church on my little place in my office, but it's woven. And I looked it up on the internet, and they're not printed because you get these are not real expensive to purchase, even when they're personalized. But it is woven. So the act of weaving it becomes a. Are you getting tired? I'm doing good. See how long he can go. You can do it. We believe in you. And then you might notice that a little higher. Can you put it a little higher? No, you don't have to do it higher. But it's actually woven. Turn it around and let them see the back now. And so if you look at he's a good sidekick. He's a good Ed McMahon. So if you look at the back, what I notice, if you could be close up, you will note you can see flaws. No, you don't have to get closer to them. There's flaws in it, and there are little loops in places. There are knots that get in the weaving process. Flaws up here. Turn around and make it look pretty again for us. Hold it nice and high. How long can I milk that? Okay, thank you. That's perfect. So you may have it. Well, not you can't have it, but my demonstration is complete in that regard. So, thank you, Rod. So you can see that it's beautifully made, and it's a really good illustration of, I keep thinking of Wendy and what a joy she was to have in that class. And she bought these for each person that was in the class. There were 7 of us all together, and everyone got their own little throw there. And what I know is that some computer, she sent something off and some machine was connected to some computer that did the weaving. So the thread is probably dyed in lengths, and then the machine knows how to cross-thread it. I don't understand all of it, but it is truly woven, and it was special ordered. And I started thinking, isn't that what prayer is like? Prayer is like we have a desire for something in our life, and we can special order it, and we have to place the order. So this was a gift, but she had to go to a computer probably, right? And she had to special order, and she had to individualize each of the throws that she created for each of the individual students. And I think that prayer is like that we are taught when we learn the formal steps to spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. What we notice is that there are, if we want a certain outcome, there are really specific ways we can approach prayer to succeed in changing the patterns of our life, in redesigning the pattern of our life to be more favorable in a way that we would like it. So we're taking very specific action, and we're intentionally a part of that process of redesigning this bigger pattern that impacts us as individuals. So even though it's not perfect, because when we're talking about the divine pattern and planting seeds of possibility as forms of the way we express our life, the way we live our life, the conditions of our life in everyday living, we will still bump into flaws, loose threads, and big knotty messes in certain places. And the trick is to not look too close. I think the secret to all beauty, the experience of beauty, is that we can't look too close. I often joke about the damn magnifying mirror, right? So at a certain age, women feel like probably men too now, I don't know, but you feel like you need it. And yet it does no good if I'm tweezing my eyebrows. I have to promise myself I won't look at everything else that close up at the same time. It's just do your business, get out of here, turn that mirror around again, because it doesn't help me. It makes me feel worse instead of better. So the secret to beauty is not looking at the flaws and not expecting things to be perfect. So we would like to, we're always looking at ways to put our lives in better order, but we'll notice that there is not really, in a living, moving, changing world and life that we all have, there's no way of it always being exactly perfect order. So our lives, like all of life, we can see that there are ways that things are connected, ways that we come together is in relationships, in humanity, ways in which we learn to not look at the flaws so much. But in our uniqueness, we can see that then extends out to us as humanity, as a group, in the way that all of us are connected by the essential nature of being human. And so when I look at the whole group of people, what I can see is that we are very different in the patterns that we make, that there are lots of things that come together to create beauty, and some of that is contrast. So there are different colors, and there are different textures, and there are different ways in which we use our imaginations, that just in the same way there were, probably not. At least not the way I just did. But there are ways in which that throw that was woven specifically to represent me, it has different colors and textures, and it had a lot of imagination. Somebody had to imagine that it was possible, and then the woman that bought it as a gift had to imagine that it would be a glorious opportunity to give a gift, and in that same way, those ideas spread out into the larger realm of what we call the human family. And so as a human family, we have all those different things, even our customs and our preferences and our ability, our compatibility. You know, some of us are more able to be compatible with others and play well with others than other people. So and the reason for that is that it all includes imperfections. It all includes flaws in our personality and so on and so forth. Brené Brown wrote the most amazing and well-read book called The Gifts of Imperfection. And I, along with all other leaders, we really love that book and recommend it. It's such a great starting place to be adaptable in your own life and helping in relationships of each other. Now, when we're talking about flaws and the flaws that were in the that you could see if you looked close up to the throw, the Navajo tradition has a way in which when they are weaving a piece of fabric or a rug, they purposely include a flaw that has a native term, but it's a contrasting color of thread, and you'll see it there right by the border. So you can see at the bottom of the white, to the left there's a line, it doesn't even look straight. And you know I have had items like this in my home, whether it's a rug or a throw, where that makes me crazy. And I remember once trying to figure out how I could pull it out because it's a flaw, it shouldn't be there. Why is that there? But they put those in there on purpose, and they call it a spirit line. And you'll notice it often will come from the center square and then go out into the border. In this case, it's from the middle border part that goes out to the edge, but they like to take it all the way out to the edge because it has a way of connecting the inner and the outer. And it is a purposeful, it is an intentional break in the pattern, which would otherwise we would think is beautiful, but it is there on purpose to remind the weaver that they are going to let this piece go. It is their road to freedom on releasing the weaving. And sometimes when you're the creator of a project in your life, it's hard to let go of your creations, right? We get attached to those things that we have made. So isn't that an interesting, and by the way, if you looked at the full picture of this quilt, that is the only corner that will have that line in it, which makes it even more frustrating. But do you see how once we see that and acknowledge it, it makes sense? And now that will interest me when I bump into that again in my future. I will see that and I will look, I know what that is. What a beautiful tradition. There's always a path out in all of creation. I found this fabulous quote to go along with that. This is a quote from a Science of Mind magazine from last December. Ram Dass said these words: "When you get out into the woods and you look at all the trees, you'll notice that they're all different. Some of them are bent. Some of them have grown funny, or they're crooked or twisted. Some of them are straight. Some of them are evergreens, and some of them are oak trees. And you, as you look at that tree, you just allow that tree to be what it is in the way that it is. And you appreciate that tree. You see, maybe even you can reason why it got that way. Maybe that tree didn't get enough light when it was young, so it turned in a different direction. And you don't get all emotional about it. You just allow it and you appreciate it. The minute you get near humans, however, here's an interesting twist, then you lose all of that. And you are constantly saying things like, that person is too much that way. That person over there rubs me wrong because of this or that. I'm annoyed by my own thing, that bad habit I have. Your judging mind has come in. And so I practice, Ram Dass is saying this, I practice turning people into trees, which means that I appreciate them and I accept them the way that they are. Isn't that a great thing to ponder? So it's a little story, you know, and we're always making up little stories to justify or establish meaning in circumstances of our life, or even harsher yet, in what's going on in the world or somebody else's life that probably is none of our business. But we are. You know, and we have made up a story of all the things that have happened in our life, and that's why I have this habit or this mannerism. But we can always change this story. We're good storytellers, as it turns out. And the truth is, we're always weaving a tale, but we can change the tale. In fact, we usually do change the story a little bit as we age. Sometimes we change it because we get more wisdom and we realize it wasn't quite the way we remembered it. Now, there are lots of stories that social media has exposed us to, lots of stories that we can have lots of opinions about. Everybody has their own take on what's going on in the world. But Dr. Holmes left us a pretty good example of how, spiritually speaking, every religion has their own story, and that he did the best that he could to synthesize some universal truths, and in very much did not ever want us to be a religion that had the only truth. So listen to these words where he's talking about that. If we were to examine the basic principles of all the religions of the world, we would find a great similarity. Each points to one central life, without which nothing could exist. The Christian religion gives more value to the individual life than, say, the Buddhist faith might. But it is only one explanation, and it cannot be considered the only truth about religion. For there are many other faiths and traditions whose combined teachings weave the story of truth into a complete and unified pattern. I was thinking how important it is to leave that spirit line in the way we weave our stories so we can find our way out when it no longer serves us. And that is certainly what's happened to a lot of people who have left church in recent years and don't desire any religious dogma as a part of their experience of religion. So our stories vary, but I love that this faith has always stood on the fact that truth does not change, and that we can honor all paths to God because we are looking for that one thread of universal truth. In the same way that we are a single thread of the divinity of spirit itself in the way that we are created. So the question is, like, can we look for that unified pattern? Can we look for the positive side and not pick apart the flaws and the frays that make bigger holes in that larger story? So we're talking about connection and collaboration, and I want us to, and we've looked at the wovenness of life, and we've spoken to the idea this morning of the way our stories weave in and out of truths and experiences, and ultimately come to be something we believe, but we can alter. And we mentioned this morning the wovenness of all humanity, the way we can all be different and we can still all know that we are part of one humankind as a whole, one entity in that way. But we are also woven with, as we mentioned at the very beginning of this message, we are also woven to that which has woven us. And I was thinking of the model prayer that Jesus left. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. This is the ultimate connection, the ultimate weaving, the ultimate collaboration of the heavens and the earth, the heavenly and the physical, that come together in that sense of oneness. It is the tapestry of the heavens and the earth as one. So in so many ways, life is about weaving, indeed, the spiritual with the physical. The early metaphysicians would talk about spirit and matter. And we just know that there's this greater essence of connection for all beings. The indigenous tribes seem to have really understood that oneness of life before we ever had research on how cells work and how how the planet is like a singular giant cell, and human life is just a part of that vast whole. The indigenous tribes have always intuited a oneness with the earth, and they have valued the physical planet in a way that's gorgeously respectful. From Chief Seattle, this might be a familiar quote to you. He said, "Humankind has not woven the web of life." We did not weave the web of life, right? We stepped into a web that was already in motion and already created. We are but one thread within that. All of humanity, we are just a single thread in this web of a much greater illustration of life, all inclusive. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourself. All things are bound together. All things are connected. See, this is why when something goes a little bit sideways in our life and we haven't been as kind as we had hoped we would be, we can feel that reaction of something we've said or an action we took or something that we didn't do or an action we didn't take. We can feel that within us because pain itself, the discord we sense when there's chaos in our lives or in the world, that discomfort, even that discomfort that comes from stress and anxiety, those are symptoms that we have, and if we pay attention to them, we can see that they are calls for something to be healed. So if I do something that doesn't feel right, and I feel it in my being, then I can make a course correction right there in that moment of my acknowledging it, because we live in this universe where there's cause and effect. We live in this world where we understand there are choices, and for every choice we make, there's a consequence or an effect that will manifest because of the choice we made or we didn't make. And it's not a punishment, it's just a reminder that we can always take a different route. We can always make a different choice. And we can certainly learn to quit picking at the flaws and the holes in the tapestry of our relationships. All things, Chief Seattle said, all things are bound together. So what we put on the web, we're going to experience that in a very internal way, whether it's love or caring or discord or adversity. We will then have an internal impact personally from whatever we put out there. So we choose to participate. I was thinking about our ministerial stoles. Reverend Clyde has a classic stole that he wears every Sunday, and it makes me very happy that he takes the time to pull it out and put it over his shoulders, because there's a part of our ordination ceremony where we very often address the bestowing of the shawl, they call it. We talk about the symbolic parts of the minister's stole and what is the symbolism of just putting it over our shoulders, so that now we are publicly identified as spiritual leaders. People know they can come to you with a problem. I was at a spiritual retreat out at what's that Catholic retreat center in Scottsdale that we love so? The Franciscan Renewal Center. And there was a priest that was having lunch with us, and as we got up to go back to our classroom, he also got up to leave, and I saw a woman approach him because he was wearing the garment, right? And she approached him, and as I was passing by, I heard just enough of what she was saying to see that she didn't even know him, but she felt safe to take a problem. Something very serious was going on in her life, and she had begun to cry right away. So there's something that happens when we are wearing that stole that invites that way that we step into the consciousness of a minister. And so we speak to that when we're having these ceremonies. And we speak about the symbolism of the color of the stole. Mine has gold trim. Does yours have gold trim, Clyde? I don't think they do the gold. Clyde, so they don't even give this particular stole anymore now for ordination. They used to. We were really blessed in the days when they did that. I think if the minister wants the official white stole, they have to buy it themselves. But we talk about the symbolism of the white color. We talk about the symbolism of the gold lined around the outside of it. We talk about the way that the lining of the stole that touches your body, that's closest to your skin, is satin. That it's white and it's soft and it's pure and it's precious, to remind us of that softness, the gentle touch of Spirit itself in the work that we do. The outside is linen. And linen is one of the fabrics in which you can see, it must be larger threads that it's made of, because you can see the weaving. And they very specifically talk to us about the flaws that can be seen in the linen, that it's never perfect, that there are always those loops and those knots and those places where it looks like it's pulled too thin, that's just a part of the process of creating the fabric. And so we see the imperfections in the weave, and they remind us. We are told that the flaws are there specifically so that we can recognize there will be times when you feel like you've failed or you haven't been enough. You couldn't do what you thought you needed to do. There will be times when you will feel disconnects in some of the relationships within your community. There will be times where you will have to do very difficult things because it's all a part of leadership. So touch those flaws and recognize them and accept them. Because if you pick at them, they will become holes that will then compromise the integrity of the whole garment. Right? So we don't pick at our flaws. We just notice. We allow. We appreciate, just like the trees, in the way that Ram Dass spoke of them. When we look at all of it together, we can see that there's a beautiful blessing in the memory of all those experiences that come together, because always there are many more. The good always outweighs the difficult in tremendous proportions. So I wanted to end this morning with a quotation I found from an American Hindu guru, a gentleman named Radhanath Swami, who is also a spiritual teacher and an author. And these are his words. The true treasures lie within. It is the underlying theme of the songs that we sing and the shows that we watch and the books that we read. It is woven into the Psalms of the Bible and the ballads of the Beatles. What is it? It is love. Because love is the nature of the divine. Love, my friends, is the thread of all connections. Love is the reason Reverend Clyde is back there waving at the baby and playing with the baby, because we cannot resist Love is alive and real. It is the thread of life that holds the entire tapestry together. So when it feels as though it's missing, when you feel disconnected, when you have any experience this week that will help you reflect back on this larger message, remember that it is a call to return to love. If you're feeling separated or discord, or the chaos of the world is getting to you, or your life, think of Clyde waving at the baby. Return to love and know all is well in the world. And that's what I wanted to say today. Oh, so just feel the love in this room right now. We open our hearts and we open our minds and we become aware of that sensory experience of the movement of love. For what we know is that God is love. And so I feel that presence of love within me. I sense the movement of love in this room and the activity of love inspired by the spoken word, so that wherever these words are heard, something magnificent is happening. Love is the activity of life within us. It is that which has inspired all creation. It is the very idea of love that impels the law to move into action, so that we are healed from any negativity, from any thoughts or any sense of disconnect. We recognize that there is something powerful that is always ongoing within us, and it is this thing called love. So I sense that love. And I know that as we speak these words, there are things that are shifting and moving in our individual lives, in our physical being, that is reordering the cells of our being to be in divine alignment, because we are divinely created. We are woven and have been created into this unique design that is just us. There is no one else exactly like us, and so we can rejoice, flaws and all. For this is the truth of all of life, that there is beauty in spite of difficulty, that there is peace behind every challenge, that there is perfect order desiring expression in our lives and on this planet, and we open ourselves to be a part of that healing, of that renewal. We feel that quickening within us that is a call for action. And we use these words of prayer as a positive action in our own lives, so that we can be realigned, we can be uplifted, we can be reinvigorated, and our health can be revealed at higher and higher levels, and the general well-being of our lives can be exposed in this grand and glorious way. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite Spirit, for having these moments of feeling refreshed and renewed. We accept, we allow, like the trees, we allow the twists and the bends and the turns, and we know there's always more to this story than we have seen. And we can therefore appreciate the value of every living thing, of every human life, and of the collaboration of the beautiful tapestry we make in our togetherness. So I release these words. I release them into that divine law that always responds affirmatively. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful. Grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see, His love reflected shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
All right. So I'll tell you what I'm grateful for when that baby smiles at you. It's addictive, right? So I'm like, I'm trying to make the baby smile at me again. I promise I'm paying attention. Anyway, we're having a beautiful experience back there. So, all right. So now is the time to remember the abundance of our lives and the abundance of our community. Just want to remind everybody that we don't pass around the offering plate, that we have drop boxes in the back of the sanctuary and also into fellowship and then in the bookstore. And so we definitely appreciate and thank you for your gifts, your tithes, and your pledges. So thank you so much. Also want to remind you that after service, if you want to call to prayer, you can come up and Kathy, the practitioner here, will be up here available to pray with you if you would like prayer. So please join her for that. And I think that's it. So let's say our giving affirmation together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Sing that with me. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems.
Thank you, Bradfords. All right, so if we can say the closing affirmation, repeat after me. As I weave my life of expression, I recognize the divine patterns within my life. And so it is.